It's time to look back at the Tata IPL 2024. We do this every year to see if there are certain trends we might have spotted this year, whether the T20 game went to another level in some parts, regressed somewhere, what were the big new changes that took place, which players caught your eye, who were the star performers. So we'll try and do all that in this review of 2024. The first thing that struck you, and it was there in your face, it socked you in the jaw, it punched you in the face, was the batting. Every year we say, and we've been saying this for years, that batters win you matches, bowlers win you tournaments. It happened in IPL 2023 as well. The Gujarat Titans had three of the leading wicket takers in their midst. How much did they miss Mohammad Shami this year? CSK bowled very well. And on almost all parameters, it was the sides that dominated the bowling that did pretty well eventually over the season in IPL 23. Not so this year. The teams with the best bowling strike rates, 4 of the bottom 6 were made up of those teams. So maybe it's time to look beyond bowling strike rate and wickets now and focus a little bit more on economy rates. But I don't know if I have enough data to be able to say that conclusively. What we do know was that every batting record went out of the window. Whether you're looking at sixes, whether you're looking at strike rates, whether you're just looking at the total number of runs, and on every parameter this year, it was just incredible. You look at the strike rates. This was the highest strike rate tournament across all the franchise leagues in the world. I don't know how long that will last, but that happened this year. But definitely the most effective across all editions of the IPL in terms of strike rate. But not just overall. Now sometimes you see that openers come out and just dominate. Power play strike rates go through the roof. You can understand that sometimes. But this year, across phases, even in the middle overs, we had the highest strike rates. And that just told me that batters just did not stop this year. They just went boom, 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 boom across all phases. And that was a revelation for me. 7 of the 10 biggest power play scores came this year. When I saw 105 some years ago, Sunil Narayan and Chris Lynn, I thought, wow, I mean, that'll just stand alone. That'll be like a lighthouse. That'll just be there. You can see it from a distance. And then 125 was scored this year. We thought 250 was an outlier score. I saw 277 being made in Hyderabad and I thought, nah, you can't get more than this. Very soon thereafter, 287 was made. It was replied to with 262. 8 out of the top 10 totals were scored this year. Where are we going to go next? I honestly don't know, but I hope we're not going to start looking for 300. A couple of bowlers told me that maybe groundsmen want to make pitches where 300 are scored this year. Why did that happen? There were many reasons. Obviously, the pitches were one reason. They were way too flat. Boundaries were too short. We have to push the boundaries back as much as possible. And as the season wore on, you did notice that as the pitches got a little more difficult, the scores came down to about 170, 180. Those are wonderful matches, 170, 180. Maybe the new normal is 200, but 270, 280. After a while, you got immune to the number of sixes that were being hit. There were just sixes flying everywhere. The impact sub, we've talked about that at length right through the season. Yes, the impact sub could be a factor. Even Virat Kohli said, look, because there was a number 8, even I was going at 200 in the power play, which was a nice little tongue-in-cheek self-deprecatory comment because he was fantastic this year. I don't think we're going to see too much more of the impact sub because the other thing it did was it negated the second skill of some very good players. We saw what happened with Abhishek Sharma in Chennai, didn't we? When the second skill was needed, it was there. And I think if you took away the impact sub, you'd have players like Washington Sundar, Abhishek Sharma, Riyan Parag. I hope Riyan Parag never stops bowling. You'll have players like those, even Rahul Tewatia. We need players like those coming back in. So we cannot have their second skill going waste. The toss wasn't a big factor this year. There have been times in the IPL when it almost got to a stage where you win the toss and you win the game. This year wasn't quite so. There was still the temptation to field first, and we saw towards the end of the tournament that it didn't really matter over the tournament as a whole whether you batted first or bowled first, but the importance of the toss got minimized this year. I like the fact that a lot of hard-working domestic players came in. We saw the likes of Shashank Singh, lovely story with Swapnil Singh, with Harshal Patel, with Yash Dayal, Sandeep Sharma, and even in that one opportunity that he got, Manish Pandey came in and changed the game. So maybe as we go ahead, people will start looking at these players who've been around for a while, have got the experience, have learned a little bit more about their own game, because this coincided with the minimal impact of players that were picked on promise. A lot of money was paid to a lot of young players, but we didn't see them breaking out in the manner that you thought they would. Kumar Kushagra, for example, hardly got an opportunity. Samir Rizvi got a few more, but he wasn't quite able to make an impact. Not easy when you're getting only a few deliveries, but that was the other trend. So maybe people will say, yes, there's a bit of promise, but let me see that promise come through over a season or two. The IPL is such a lovely, vast story that you cannot encapsulate everything in just one blog. So stay tuned for part 2, where we will look at some of the players, some of the characters, some of the human stories from this year's tournament.